A few weeks ago, I did a review video of Scream Factory's 4K UHD release of Monkey Shines. And in that video, which I also wore this amazing American Werewolf in London t-shirt, in that video we talked about this cover and how seeing this in the video store back in the day, and we saw this monkey, this toy monkey on the cover, we thought this was going to be kind of like Child's Play or something like that, about a toy monkey that comes to life and kills people with a straight razor. There's not a toy monkey in Monkey Shines at all. There's just it's a real monkey, and it's actually that's a pretty good movie, and you can check out my review on that on my channel. But today we want to talk about The Monkey. This is a 2025 film, and there is a toy monkey in this movie. Now, does this movie fulfill on the promise that we all wanted from here when we saw the cover of Monkey Shines? We're going to get into that here in just a minute. We're going to talk about this new film. We're going to talk about the plot a little bit. I'm trying not to spoil too much, but eventually we're going to talk about the 4K transfer. I'm going to rate the movie and the packaging here on a scale from 1 to 5. And if you would go ahead, if you would do me a favor and like this video, I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. The Monkey is based on a short story written by Stephen King of the same name. It appears in the novel Skeleton Crew, and it is one of many Stephen King written short stories in that book. Now, I used to own a copy of that book back in the day. I remember it pretty good. I'm not sure what happened to it. It probably was whisked away somewhere into oblivion, but it is gone now. I don't have it anymore. But I do remember on the front cover of that book, the monkey was on the front cover, and he was holding these symbols. In the story itself, every time the monkey hits the symbols together, somebody dies. It's a little different in The Monkey the movie. He has a drum instead of cymbals, and what happens... His arm goes up with a drumstick, and when it comes down, somebody dies. Let's take a look at this release. Now, it does have a very nice slipcover on the front of this. On the inside of it, we have the same artwork on a insert. On the back of this, we do have some pictures. We have some of the characters here on the back. The one that stuck out to me the most was Elijah Wood. I think most of us recognize him pretty good. We'll talk about his part here in just a few minutes, and also the rest of them as well. On the inside of this, we have two discs. We have a 4K and a Blu-ray. It's nice to have both, so I definitely approve of that. On the inside here, we have a white balance card. You can use this to white balance your videos. I'm just kidding about that. What's interesting to me on the back of this, it says... the best Stephen King movie in decades. I don't know. There's some pretty good ones out recently. You know, have we forgotten about It? Have we forgotten about Dr. Sleep? Do you think it's better than these two? Let me know in the comments about that if you think it's better than It, Chapter 1 and 2, or one or the other, or Dr. Sleep. Now, go ahead and drop a comment about that. So this film, like I said, based on Stephen King's short story. The short story deals with a guy in, I guess, kind of present day for the time, and he had this toy monkey that he finds when the symbols cling together that someone dies, and so he remembers, he has flashbacks to his childhood and things of that nature. It's a little different here. It has kind of the same kind of idea, but it doesn't do it. It has one flashback later on, but it doesn't, for the most part, does it chronologically. It starts off with the main character, Hal, as a kid, and he has a twin brother named Bill. Both of these twins are played by the same child actor, and it's fairly impressive. And as an adult, they're also played by Theo James. So in both instances, you have an actor playing two parts, which makes it interesting that especially when they're kids, they're on screen a lot together. So it's it must have been quite challenging to do. It would have been easier just to make them not twins and have different actors play them. But it's kind of cool, though, to see this. And it's fairly seamless when you're watching it. It puts a very interesting dynamic about the monkey into it. Now, there are two twins, and one of the twins is more popular than the others. We tell them apart very easily because the main character wears glasses. And funny enough, as a kid, they looked like two different people. It's kind of like Clark Kent. It's kind of like when I put on glasses, all of a sudden it's like I could be somebody else. But so it's actually the very first scene of the film is the kid's dad. Now, I really love the opening scene. Like, Adam Scott plays the kid's dad, and he brings the toy monkey into this pawn shop, trying to give it back to the pawn shop owner. And it's such a great scene, and Adam Scott, I wish he was in the film more. Now we don't know what happens to his character exactly, and it's never really revealed. So maybe the character survives, and we'll get to see him again in another film. But that's a really cool casting for this film. But anyway, so after that, mysteriously this monkey has some powers. It's not like we talked about before. It doesn't come to life like Chucky or anything like that. The way you get it to operate, you have to turn this. You have to turn this not lever. You have to turn the back of it. It's like a crank, and then it starts playing music. And eventually, if the hand goes up with the drumstick, when it comes down, somebody mysteriously dies. Now there are the rules are very odd. It won't just let you pick who wants to die. It picks the monkey itself picks who it's going to kill. But throughout the film, there are some odd rules that the monkey only knows himself. The monkey is a weapon of chaos, apparently, but it can teleport apparently, but you never see it teleport. I guess it's kind of how it's implied that it ended up back in the closet at the dad's house, and the kids get it, and they discover what it does, and it causes lots of problems, and then they eventually throw it down a well. And then most of the film after that takes place 25 years later. And it follows the adult versions of the two twins. Theo James plays them. It focuses mostly on Hal, the one with the glasses, and he now has a son as well who is estranged from him. And for some reason he has a kid, but he doesn't want anything to do with him because he's afraid the monkey might come back. But the kid has a new stepdad played by Elijah Wood. Now, Elijah Wood's part is only like one scene, and he's very annoying, and you're really going to want him to die, and he plays a very annoying character briefly. He's a stepdad who's wanting to adopt his son, and he's being very obnoxious about it and very uppity, but it's kind of hilarious. I watched the scene twice. I watched it the first time, and I was just reviewing it, and I watched it again. It is quite a hilarious performance by Elijah Wood. I like Elijah Wood typically, but he probably should stop playing these annoying characters. Even though I'm sure it's really fun, but he maybe want to get back into something more Frodo, where everybody likes him more. But maybe he should do something like that, I think. But anyway, so let's so it follows what's going on with the monkey. Now there are a lot of really graphic death scenes in this film. Now, unfortunately, a lot of it is aided by CGI, and I don't know how much of it's practical, but some of them are quite jarring and shocking when they happen. So it's kind of cool, even if some of them obviously have to be practical, but some of this stuff couldn't have been accomplished very well without computer animation or CGI. But it's very jarring sometimes when some of these people get killed, and this is actually a fairly fun movie. It is a dark horror, maybe leaning a little bit towards dark comedy, but it's not hilarious. But it is a lot of it deals with these emotional ties of these kids dealing with childhood trauma and having people in their lives killed, and dealing with guilt of carrying that. And the twins don't like each other. They don't like each other when they're kids, and they don't like each other when they're adults, which I don't know how that goes. Most twins I've seen them to get along pretty good, but I guess in some instances there might be a little different dynamic, and that's definitely explored here very well within the film. And it's the relationship between the twin who has the son and his son is explored very well. Tatiana Maslany plays the mom of the two kids when they're younger. She gets second billing in the film, though her screen time is substantial, but she's really only in it about the first 30 minutes, and she's shown briefly in a few flashbacks later on. Tatiana Maslany, of course, the first time I saw her in something was Orphan Black, where she plays these clones, like multiple characters. So it's kind of a similar concept of this, where you have twins, but here you have, but she only plays the one character in this one. But she does a really good job, very, very good performance as the mom, and I generally like her acting. I know that she played She-Hulk, and I saw a few episodes of that. I thought she was pretty good, and I didn't like the show that much, but I think she's a great actress. Also in the film is Ronan Campbell, which another divisive, perhaps divisive to some people, actor who played Corey in Halloween Ends. Now, I think he's a good actor as well, and he's kind of disguised. He's wearing like some crazy looking wig, so he's kind of like, you recognize him a little bit, and you're like, who is that? It took a little while to figure it out, but he's he plays like a character who's been hired to get the monkey for somebody else, and he's got a decent amount of screen time in the second part of the film. Now, the idea of these twin boys dealing with this evil toy monkey does seem like a Stephen King idea. And Stephen King did explore this a little bit in his novel, The Dark Half. Now, The Dark Half recently received a Vinegar Syndrome 4K UHD release, and you can check out my review of this release on my channel. But Stephen King is not the one who brought this into the monkey, because it wasn't in the original short story. It was actually the director of the film, Osgood Perkins, who brought that idea into this. Osgood Perkins has recently been directing several acclaimed horror movies like Long Legs, and he is also an actor, and he has a small part in the film, a small hilarious part as their uncle. He's also a swinger, he says, but he's I don't know, but he does a good job with the direction in this film, and I really like what he's been doing. So as far as this 4K transfer, now something about this movie, as I was looking back at it, I looked at both. There is a 4K and a Blu-ray. I looked at both of them. They both look very good. They look very similar. Now, 4K is going to have a little bit more detail, not necessarily to the naked eye, but it is there, and you can see it. Now, but the more I looked at the movie, the more I thought, wow, this looks like, I'm assuming it was shot digitally, but I'm like, this looks like film. Now, he did such a good job of shooting this digitally and making it look like film. It looks like film, but the more I looked into it, I discovered they actually shot this movie on 35 millimeter film. So that is the reason it looks very filmic. It looks very organic, and it has a very nice look to it. Now, as far as the sharpness and the clarity, it's all there. It all looks terrific. You see a lot of details, especially in the close-ups. It does have there is a lot of color grading involved here. Like, even, for instance, like the first scene, you have Adam Scott come into this pawn shop lit by fluorescent lights. There is a kind of a greenish color grading going on with that bit of the movie. A lot of the interior night scenes are lit by tungsten light bulbs, and those have a very orangish color grading going on, a lot more intense than it maybe would actually be. But there are other scenes that take place exterior day with a little tinge of blue teal color grading. But as you get further into it, you do have some scenes that are more naturally graded and look exactly like you would think. You see the skin tones looking a little more natural, especially exterior day, interior day, and things of that nature. In the middle part of the film, it gets a little bonkers at the very end, where you have more exterior night and you have an interior with some really odd lighting, which actually works really well within the film. Now, all that color grading, it does work within the film, and I do like it actually feels very organic, and it adds a bit of a mood to it. Now, none of this looks, even though I'm saying color grading, it doesn't like pop out at you, like doesn't make you think that it is color grading. It actually kind of brings about a certain mood to the film, and especially in the earlier parts of the film that take place 25 years earlier, it does kind of add a little bit of a period feel to it. It makes it seem like it is a lot older. Now, this is my first time watching the film. I'm going to go ahead and rate it. I'm going to rate the film and the release. I'm going to rate both of them on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. And again, it is my first time seeing it. Sometimes when I watch a film, I either really don't like it and I watch it later and I think it's better than I thought originally, or I watch it initially and I'm like, wow, that was awesome. But I'm going to give the film 4 stars. I really did enjoy it. I thought it was very, very inventive. I thought it's not necessarily scary, but it does add. I do like the psychological part. I like some of the shocking violence that happens, and how they choose to deal with the monkey. And the ending is quite cool, and it leaves a lot of stuff open-ended. I do have a lot of questions that aren't answered within the film. Questions that don't necessarily need to be answered, but they are there, and I like that. As far as what this release, I'll do like the slipcover. I'm going to give it 4 stars too. I'm sure some other boutique label is going to come out with a really badass, thick box release. It's going to be something to this nature of the monkey. Maybe Second Sight Films might bust something out. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on the monkey. If you want to leave those in the comment section below. And if you would do me a favor, if you haven't done so already, if you would subscribe to my channel. I'm also going to put, you see this box right here? If you click on that thing, you can see my really award-winning, by me, I gave myself an award of the Monkey Shines. The Monkey Shines. Yeah, you can check out my Monkey Shines review there if you click on that box. I'm Dave Watkins, Watkins Films. Thanks for watching.